Hey guys, it's Sekaar, and today we're going to be going over my Magic and Necromancer build for the High Isle chapter. Before we get started, if you guys could like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not, that would really help me out a lot. But besides that, I'm not going to really speak too much on it. I just hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, let's get on with it. Alright guys, let's get started. First things first, we're going to look at our character sheet. On this build, we're going to be a Breton. Breton is best in slot for magic characters, I believe, because of the reduced cost that you get from all of your magic abilities. So I really like that for this. It's going to give you a lot of sustain, and you don't really need any more damage by going high elf or anything. So definitely Breton is the way to go. We're going to have 59 points into magic and then 5 points into health to give us a nice chunky amount of health and magic on this. And then, as you can see, just sitting here, our max stats are 27k max magic, 30.5k max health, and then 15.3k max stamina. And then unbuffed, it doesn't look like much, but our spell damage is at 3,800. When we buff it up, it gets to about 4,500. Then when you ultimate, it gets even more. So I know the spell damage looks low, but it is fine, especially with our penetration being at 10.7k. You are still hitting very, very, very hard. Our Mundus is going to be the Apprentice, which is going to increase our spell damage by 238. And then we're going to be using Orzoga Smoked Bear Haunch as our food. It is going to increase our max health by 4.3k, and then our magic and stamina recovery by 3.69. I'm sorry, by 369 for 2 hours. This is also really expensive right now, so if you don't want to use this food, I get it. It's very, very, very expensive. I think it's like 30k a pop on PCNA right now. So you could use the Jewels of Misrule food as well. That is going to just give you a little bit less stats, but it is still almost just as good. If you need the ball in the budget, I definitely recommend using the Jewels of Misrule. If you want to really just mid max and get as many stats as possible, use Orzorgas. I definitely recommend either one, whichever one you can afford. It doesn't matter. And then Vampire Stage 3, as always, getting that tankiness up. That Stage 3 from that is going to give us, where is it? Right here. Stage 3, getting that Undeath passive, reducing your damage taken by up to 30% based on your missing health, is huge. It's going to make you more tanky the less health you are at. And then, honestly, while we're here, let's just look them over. Our five, or our, I'm just used to Oakensoul build. I said five. Our abilities are going to be, as our main synergy is going to be Avid Boneyard. This is what you're going to want to use in order to really blow people up on this. You're going to be hitting that, and you're going to be hitting like a truck on that. Degeneration, you're going to be using this to get your major sorcery and major brutality. Storm Pulsar, this is going to be your ability that you use as your finishing move after you get your combo off. This is what you're going to want to spam to try and really finish those kills off. Stalking Blast Bones is pretty huge. To be able to get that extra little bit of damage in as a in your burst is really the difference between a successful bomb and an unsuccessful bomb. Definitely try and line up your Blast Bones to stack right when your bomb hits. Summer's Armor, that way you get your major resolve on this build, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 6k for 20 seconds. And it's also reducing the cost of your Blast Bones and your Spirit Mender. So you're definitely going to want to be using this morph. Don't use the other morph, it'll give people free CC immunity, and you just don't want that at all. Dawnbreaker of Smiting, we're not using this ultimate at all. We're just using this on our front bar to increase our weapon and spell damage from the Fighters Guild passive right here by having it slotted right there. So that is the only reason why we use that. We don't use this ability at all, though. And then on our back bar, we're going to be using Race Against Time as our snare removal, and also it's going to proc your Minor Force, which is going to increase your critical damage by 10%. So you definitely want to keep those up that up as long as possible. Intensive Bender, this is going to be a huge heal for you. You only have really two and a half heals on this build, and Intensive Bender is huge and very important. It only lasts 8 seconds, but it really heals for a lot, so definitely try and keep this up at all times if you can. And also, using that and your Necrotic Potency, you're going to be getting a lot of ultimate very quickly. Blinding Flare, the only reason why we have this is because while you just have it slotted, you gain major protection, reducing your damage by 10%. So we don't really use this unless we kind of fake bomb, you know, which is what you do when you don't want to use your ultimate, but you want to maybe bait out a healing ultimate on the enemy side. But really, for the most part, you're not using this. You're just getting this for the major protection. Resistant Flesh, this is going to be your burst heal on this build. When you're taking a lot of pressure, this is what you're going to want to do to counteract that. That way you get your health back up to full. Between Resistant Flesh and Intensive Bender, you have 2 really good heals right there. And then Necrotic Potency, whenever your Intensive Mender or your Summoner's Armor gets to half the duration, you can reapply it and then hit Necrotic Potency on it, and you get Ultimate for that. So that is huge. And then also, getting that slot is going to reduce your damage taken by 3% as well. And then also off of that, you're just getting more Ultimate, and it's a little bit of a heal too, which is why I said 2.5 heals earlier. And then Pestilent Colossus, this is going to be what's going to really be part of your bomb. You're going to want to do that, then switch to your other bar, then activate your Boneyard, and that is going to be so much damage in itself. So I definitely recommend using the Stamina Morph of this, because the Magic Morph is just... I prefer the Stamina Morph. The Magic Morph is not nearly as good, because the only extra thing that you get from the Magic Morph is a stun at the end, which you don't really need because you're using Dark Convergence on this build. So the Pestilent Colossus is definitely the way to go. It hits a little bit harder as well. And then as our gear, we're going to be running this. We're going to be using, as our monster set, we're going to be using Balrog with a heavy helmet and a medium shoulder. They're both going to have the Impenetrable trait on them, with Prismatic enchants on them as well. As you can see, we have Prismatic on all of our body pieces. Our chest piece is going to be a heavy Curus of the Trainee in Reinforced. We have 1 extra slot on this build, and using a heavy Trainee piece is going to increase your resistance and your health as high as possible. Your gloves are going to be Light Dark Convergence in Impen. Dark Convergence is what's going to be able to pull everybody on this build together. That way you get that bomb successfully off. What Dark Convergence does is it gives you that max magic, offensive pen, weapon and spell damage, and then when you leave an AoE on the ground, aka your Colossus or your Revealing Flare, you're going to pull people in after 1 second. So that is absolutely huge. It really pulls people together, and then you can proc your Vicious Death, and it's going to absolutely blow people up so much. I love it. You're going to be using a Light Dark Convergence waist piece as well in Impen. And then you're going to be using as your legs Vicious Death in Impen as well. What Vicious Death does is having that on your front bar, you're going to have that weapon and spell damage, the max magic, the crit chance, and then you're going to get 2 lines of 5-piece. You're going to get the offensive pen, and then when you kill somebody, they're going to explode for 5.3k flame damage, and they're going to be hitting all other enemies within a 5-meter radius. So Dark Convergence is going to pull people together, and then if anybody dies, you're going to be able to blow up the entire stack because it's going to cause a chain reaction. So definitely use Vicious Death on this. It is the way to go. I love blowing people up on this build. Your feet are going to be Vicious Death in the Impen trait as well. We're going Impen instead of Divines on this because you're going to want to be able to take a hit on this. If you go all Divines, you're going to be so squishy. And this build definitely hits hard enough as it is, so you don't really need to bring out any more damage with the Divines. So definitely go defensive with your traits right there. I definitely recommend it. Your auxiliary traits are going to be all Harmony. As you can see, it's going to increase your synergy damage with your Boneyard. And that is going to be all spell damage glyphs as well, as you can see. Our necklace is going to be Gold Vicious Death. Our other ring is going to be Dark Convergence in the spell damage as well. And then, as you can see, for our Mythic, we're going to be using Markin. What Markin does is, since we're going to have at least 3 pieces of both Vicious Death and Dark Convergence on this build, on both bars, it's going to increase your weapon and spell damage and your armor by 200 and then 2300 respectively. Then our weapons, our front bar weapon is going to be Lightning Staff and Vicious Death in the Sharpen trait with the weapon and spell damage increase enchant. So what this is going to do, the reason why we do Lightning Staff is because Lightning Staff buffs AoE damage rather than Inferno Staff buffing single target damage. So Lightning Staff right there is going to increase the damage on your Synergy and your Colossus and your Blast Bones and your Impulse. So that's all 4 of your damage abilities right there being buffed by just having Lightning Staff. We're using Sharpen to increase your penetration. That way it is a lot more effective as far as damage goes rather than Nirnhoned. So that is why we're using those 2. Our back bar, we're going to be using a Dagger of Dark Convergence. It really doesn't matter what kind of one-handed you want right there, whether it's a dagger, axe, sword. A sword might be best, but I had a dagger already, so I just did it with that. And I have it in the power trait with a Absorb Magic Glyph. Then my shield is going to be Dark Convergence as well in Sturdy with a max stam enchant. Sturdy, you're going to want to keep that on. That way it reduces the amount of stam that you cost by blocking. And then finally, our champion points. Our 4 blue slottables are going to be Biting Aura, Ironclad, Master at Arms, and Duelist Rebuff. Our red slottables are going to be Boundless Vitality, Fortified, Pain's Refuge, and Celerity. And then green slottables don't really matter too much, but the important things are Rationer and Liquid Efficiency. I guess Gifted Rider works too. And then I guess if you want to be a Stealth Bomber as well, if you see an opportunity for it, using Sustaining from Shadows as well is important. And then if you go all the way down here, you can get some Stealth passives as well. I always forget about this, so, you know, it'll help out a little bit. All right, guys. That is it. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. We just passed 2,300 subs on YouTube. So, guys, I just want to say thank you so much. It's huge. I really enjoy the rate at which we're growing the channel. I'm going to try and put more videos together rather than just build videos for the next few upcoming months. I really want to expand. So, guys, if you want to see anything specific as far as PvP is related, like any kind of tips, like specific things that you guys would like to know from me, just ask me in the comments below and I could see if I can make a video on it. So guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't, also please like the video. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to see these kind of builds live in action, you can catch me live at twitch.tv/Sekaar, where I stream 5 days a week. And that's it for me. I am done talking, I promise. Guys, thank you so much. I will see you on the next video. Later.